What's up, Lions fans, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Lions Roundtable podcast. I am the managing editor of the 5 websites in our Roundtable network. We've got Michigan, Michigan State, the Lions, the Pistons, and the Tigers. And joining me from now on every week, hopefully we can really carve out a schedule and get this thing rolling, is Adam Stark. He runs the Twitter account. You can see it there at Honolulu Blues. It's actually streaming live there right now. We're also streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. So pretty excited about getting this thing off the ground, Adam. Obviously the Lions are I don't know that's where we're going to start. And I saw the face that you made, and that's exactly where we're going to start. Just kind of a big picture view right now, 12 games in. We've got some specific topics we'll cover as well. And then obviously the Lions play tomorrow night against Dallas. We're recording this on Wednesday evening. So let's start right there, man. Currently, the Lions are third in the NFC North behind the Bears. Obviously, that's just a kick in the pants with what Ben Johnson's doing with Chicago. And then Green Bay, who has beat the Lions twice now. 7-5 overall, so obviously the record is nowhere near what it was last year. Tell me about the face you just made, man. I saw it when I said, where are the Lions right now? What is going on after 12 games?
It's not great. It could be worse. At least we're not Minnesota in a situation like that where they went from 14 wins to 5 or 4, however many they have. But man, 7-5 is not what I expected. This was the floor, is kind of what I was thinking. I thought the worst we could do would be 10-7, and now that seems like a really realistic possibility. But this week against Dallas, it's a must-win. If we lose to them, we'll be 7-6, going against the Rams, deflated, back-to-back losses for the first time since 2022, which is also another reason why we really don't want to lose. And Lions, I feel like the team will just be, out of it. And then 2 losses and it's game over. So I think run the table, you're in. 1 loss, you should get in. 2 losses, very doubtful unless some crazy stuff happens, but it is the NFL. I just don't want to get to the point where I'm hoping certain teams lose, like the Lions need to just control their fate, win out.
That's gosh, man, it seemed like the window was open for the Lions to be contenders in the NFC for so long with how things went last year, winning 15 games, even with all the injuries. Then you get the disappointing loss to Washington in the playoffs, and you're like, God damn it. All right, well, we'll reset a little bit. We'll come back next year, and now it just shows you, dude, those windows in the NFL can be very fleeting, and it's why you hardly ever get repeat Super Bowl champs, and why worst to first happens so often and things like that. It's just crazy how things play out in the NFL. With that being said, I mean, you've laid out what sounds pretty realistic in terms of what might happen. You mentioned a couple of the upcoming opponents. Do you think this is a playoff team? I mean, if you try to take the emotion out of it, I see the Lions hoodie, bro. I see the flag waving over, but like, it's a tough road, is it not?
At the end of the day, yes, I think they're a playoff team. Do I think they are a Super Bowl contender playoff team? Not really, but all you got to do is just get in the dance, and anything can happen. We have playmakers at the end of the day. We could squeak through. There's not a true juggernaut. Yes, the Rams are, pretty good. They just lost to the Panthers. So everyone is almost beatable to a sense, and that goes in the AFC too. I mean, the Patriots and Broncos are doing good, but Drake May, Bo Nix don't scare me. I would love to face them in a Super Bowl, but I definitely think we could get in the playoffs. We just got to win the Cowboys game, and if we win the Rams game, the season will have juice. You'll get like the Undertaker meme where he pops up out of the
back up.
Yeah, sits back up. So step by step, but I think they're a playoff team.
Okay. Well, we got a couple of the homies in the group chat here. Look at this. Look at Zach, one of the writers over there at the Michigan site. Do we think the Lions should have brought back Darius Slay? I don't know about that. These they could use help, and injuries is a part of what we're gonna talk about here in a minute.
Slay's already gone. Bill's
somebody picked him up already. So. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just tough when you go from, like I said, 15-2 last year to now maybe struggling to even get in the playoffs, and it certainly doesn't go down any smoother with the Bears doing what they're doing with Ben Johnson, and you feel the sting of that a little bit, losing your offensive coordinator, who has already turned it around in Chicago and with Caleb Williams. So that just makes it a little tougher pill to swallow. One of the topics I wanted to talk about, and it was pretty much dead before it even had legs, man. Frank Ragnow looked like, he announces he's coming out of retirement. He's going to come back to the Lions. He's going to rejuvenate that offensive line that's been a little bit banged up. He's going to provide some much needed leadership and direction from the center position. And in true Frank Ragnow form, and I hate this for the guy, dude, because he's so good. He's been so solid for the Lions for so many years. Even when he's retired and not playing, he's hurt. Like it's just he was a warrior for the Lions for so many seasons, playing hurt, and there was always talks about retirement because he had battled injuries so much. I guess kind of a two-parter here, Adam. First of all, what did you see? What did you think when you saw that he was coming back? Like, were you pumped? Like, oh my God, this is going to make a huge difference? Or were you like, okay, cool. Like, that's clearly a good development. And then second part is, how big of a bummer now is it that he failed his physical and he's not going to be a Lion?
It was an absolute tease. I think we were dealt a little like prank lottery ticket. We scratched it off. Oh my God, you won $5,000. And then your brother or mom or whoever laughs at you is like, that's a joke. Nope, you didn't do anything. And for me, it's a big blow. We actually talked about this earlier today on our podcast, and Nick, one of our guys who runs the Twitter account, co-hosts the show, he's the bit of a conspiracy theorist, and he brought up the fact that there is no way that Frank Ragnow didn't know he had a grade 3 hamstring injury, and that the Lions losing to the Packers was kind of the real reason he didn't end up coming back. And part of me, it's a decent theory, I kind of believe it in a sense, because grade 3s are like, I know you're Frank Ragnow, you played through everything, but you got to see the black and blue, and all the swelling and stuff. Like that's a bad tear. So maybe it was a grade 1 and they just kind of shut it down. Hey, we might not even make the playoffs with you, so why even come back? But it sucked. Seeing that initial report was awesome. I literally woke up, got chills. I was so happy. So at least we had that little glimmer moment. But all in all, it sucked. And it was just a pileup of it. Literally went Packers beat the Lions at Thanksgiving. Then Frank Ragnow that next morning retires essentially. And then the Bears beat the Eagles, who you couldn't beat 3 weeks ago. And Ben Johnson's in the locker room shirtless, going crazy.
Ben Johnson, shirtless in the locker room. I did not have that on my bingo card. He seems so reserved, but I mean, dude, when you're doing what he's doing in year one,
got him free hot dogs. There's a hot dog place called the Wiener Circle or the Wiener something, and he said if Ben Johnson takes his shirt off at any point this season, they'll do free hot dogs. So
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, yeah, that was obviously I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not happening, I guess. But do you think, like, how big of a difference do you think it would have made? I mean, I think there's nostalgia and there's a fan aspect of just wanting Frank Ragnow back on the team because of how important he was for so many years. But, like, do you think he would have made a big difference moving forward for the final, quarter of the season here?
If he was healthy, if it was a healthy Frank Ragnow, I think it would have been a significant impact. He was a second-team All-Pro last year, still 29 years old. He kind of, called it quits on his own. Yes, we know his body was beat up, but if healthier, 90%, I think he would have helped out a lot because it would allow Glasgow to slide back over to left guard where he's more comfortable at, still not a stud, but it would be an upgrade from Coyote Waski, how we pronounce his last name, and kind of just a better hold than or a better hold for Christian Mahogany when he comes back. But yeah, I think Frank and his impact, Tate Ratledge would be sandwiched in between Frank and Penei Sewell. Would have helped him learn, would have helped him block. It would have been, I think it would have helped a good amount.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if it's the difference between making the playoffs and a Super Bowl run, but they're definitely better with a healthy Frank Ragnow in the mix. There's no doubt about it. So speaking on the injuries, man, I mean, Detroit Lions fans are sick and tired of the injury bug. And I know every team deals with it, and you've got good players across the league that are out. I get that, but again, back to the window. I mean, it felt like the window is here for Detroit. 15-2 last year, and then you get just blown out on the defensive side of the ball. You can't stop anybody. You lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Commanders. And now this year, before they even get to the playoff or a playoff push, playoff run, you've got every room in the building just about is dealing with some form of injury. Just kind of looking at who I wrote down here. So the tight end room is, I don't even know who's in there at this point. Laporta's out. Brock Wright's out. Zylstra, I think, is out. He's on the injury report. I'm not sure if he's still out this week.
He's out, yeah.
So there you go. I mean, there's your top three. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a huge part of what makes the offense go. He's going to be out. Khalif Raymond has missed time, has been out. Brian Branch, even Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell are both on the injury report as of today for tomorrow's game.
So linemen on the injury report right now.
It's nuts, man. It is absolutely nuts who is on that injury report. And it's not just the amount. It's like, it's the who's who. It's like the guys they have to have. Like, the Lions offense is a completely different machine with no Amon-Ra St. Brown and no Sam Laporta. And they're not going to have those guys. Well, so Laporta's done for the year. I mean, and who knows how long it'll be before St. Brown's back with an ankle sprain. And it's just not good. So I don't expect you to have an answer why, but is this hitting the Lions harder than it? And I don't pay attention to the other teams as much. So that's kind of where my question is. Like, do you feel like the Lions are getting hit harder than most, or is this just like, well, it's the NFL, it's week 14 or whatever we're in, and you just got to figure it out, man. You got to deal with it.
Yeah, I do a little bit. It kind of reminds me of that 2023 season when we actually made the NFC Championship game. Our secondary was just getting destroyed, and all we had was Kendall Vildor and Cam Sutton out there. So yeah. It's given me flashbacks of that, especially with the secondary. Kirby Joseph is now ruled out in 7 straight games. He's been out. There's talks his knee might be, forever messed up. So I don't know if, the medical staff is just kind of not diagnosing injuries as tough as they are, or as bad as they are, I should say. And players are playing when they're, still injured and they get worse, or what? 'Cause the same thing kind of happened with Terrion, where he had season-ending shoulder injury surgery. And earlier this season, there was, he had that shoulder injury. And Dan Campbell said it was that same shoulder. And there was talks that he was done for the season. Then all of a sudden he played 2-3 weeks later, didn't get hurt then, but it eventually ends up, biting him in the butt. So I know a lot of teams deal with the injuries, and I guess maybe part of it is more Lions fans pay attention, more people care. There's more known names. So when you see a Kirby Joseph, Terrion, even a Brock Wright ruled out, you kind of value it more as opposed to, you thinking about another team's injuries. But yeah, Brock Wright, Laporta out. To answer your question, our tight ends are Ross Dwelly and Anthony Firkser. So Dwelly's been on the team for about 5-6 weeks, and Firkser came up like a couple weeks ago, but he has been with the Lions on and off the practice squad. But it's no fun. And then the cherry on top is Amon-Ra, like the 3rd, 4th play of the game. He didn't roll his ankle, he got rolled up on, and is now looking like he's gonna be missing this game. I do like it that they're keeping him on the injury report. You gotta, let the Cowboys know he could possibly be playing, and not, to absolutely scheme up on J-Mo and Gibbs, because that's kind of what it's looking like, the J-Mo and Gibbs show.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could do worse than J-Mo and Gibbs. Obviously, they've stepped up, and Jameson Williams has shown that he can be more than just a deep ball, guy, deep threat. He's tough as nails, man, for being as skinny and as thin as he is. He goes across the middle. He's got great balance. He hardly ever goes down on first contact, but like I said, man, missing Amon-Ra, missing Sam Laporta is just massive for what the Lions want to do. I feel like, Dan Campbell loves to go for it on 4th down. When those two guys are in the lineup, I'm like, well, they're getting it. They're going to get 4th down. And when they're out, I don't feel like they're going to get it. I don't feel like those reliable guys who can just find spots in the zone. That's it. That's every time.
And Laporta and Amon-Ra. And now we've seen J-Mo drop passes. And I know Amon-Ra was dropping passes, but when you already have that established connection, Goff will never lose faith in Amon-Ra. So Gibbs has kind of been earning it. Goff seeming to be doing a lot more little check downs to Gibbs and swing passes, mostly because he could take it and just house it immediately. But yeah, especially with Brock Wright, when you're on your third tight end's like your security blanket. And
Yeah.
now Goff has stripped that and has no offensive line. So
it's it's not a great spot to be in. I wanted to talk about Jared Goff for just a minute. He's been healthy, but he looks to me, dude. He looks a little different. He looks like his confidence is shot, and I don't know if it's because he knows he's going into battle each week without his favorite weapons, or if he feels a little bit more rushed than normal because the O line's been dinged up. I'm not really sure what it is, but something looks a little bit off. I know I was watching the game on Thursday with my dad, and he's like, Jared Goff, he's broken. Something's wrong with him. It's stick a fork. My dad's hardcore. He's old school. He's been dealing with the Lions for 60 plus years, right? He's over it. But I wonder if there's anything to that. I wonder if you've thought that. I mean, do you think it is just a product of the situation around him, or is something a little bit off with Goff right now?
I think, maybe he seems to be a very, calm, modest guy, doesn't really show too much emotion. So possibly, but I think it's like the offensive line. It's just the pressure time. He's kind of started to, kind of get to him, where the last 2 years he wasn't used to that.
Right.
He was well protected, especially with Zietler and Ragnow back there. And now, both of them are gone. Mahogany's gone, and it's really just Penei Sewell kind of fighting for his life, because you could tell Decker's taking a step back as well. So it definitely could be a little bit in his head. I think most of it is just, the offensive line is kind of spooked him.
Yeah, I mean, he's never been a guy that does well under pressure. He's not mobile. He's not going to break a sack. If he's on time and on rhythm, he's as good as anybody in the league. You throw that off, and his numbers take a massive dip, and that's kind of always been his MO. And I think you're right. And then you take away, okay, I'm going to be rushed. Let me look for Amon-Ra. Oh, he's not there. All right, let me look for Sam. Oh, he's not in the lineup. It's compounded a little bit, I think, but he does look a little bit rattled. And I'm with you. He's usually very even keel. You don't see that on his face, and I feel like the last couple of weeks you've seen it on his face that something's not right. He's a little bit rattled. He's rushed. He's hurried. Whatever. He's uncomfortable for those various reasons.
That fourth down attempt to Jamo, he had him wide open, and if he would have hit him in stride, Jamo turns that corner and gets at least the first down, if not more.
Yep.
And he still should have caught it, hit him in both the hands, but it was
back on his back hip. Yeah, yep. Yeah. It's not what Lions fans want to see. Like I said, heading into game number 13 tomorrow night against the Cowboys, and that we'll get to that in just a moment. The Kirby Joseph news, I'll call it news because it looked like maybe we were trending to getting him back this week, but I think within the I was looking on Twitter here, it looks like maybe within the last hour as we're recording this that he has now been ruled out again. I think this is his 7th game in a row that he's missed, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, 7th.
Man, I mean, like I said, when it rains, it pours with this injury stuff. I thought maybe you'd get Kirby Joseph back. He's gonna miss the game. He's already been ruled out for the game tomorrow against Dallas. I don't know, man. I don't want to spend all day talking about injuries, but again, there's another guy that's young. The Lions have paid him, and now he's not in the lineup. They're saying publicly that they don't think the knee is career altering, but it doesn't. It feels off,
weird.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very weird. He wasn't placed on IR.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think the Lions thought, 2, 3, maybe 4 games we could get him back. We won't need to put him on IR. But it's just lingered. And I don't really know if he re-aggravated it or hurt it, but I can't imagine, he did, maybe it was something stupid. We've seen some freak accidents happen, every now and then in the NFL. Fell down the stairs. It's just not disclosed or anything. But yeah, this 7 straight games that's a significant injury. And he was seen with the knee brace, doing some warm-ups in practice, but then he was listed as a non-participant, I think back-to-back days, and ultimately ruled out today, along with, Khalif Raymond, Sione Vaki, and I think there was one more. But yeah, not having Kirby, not having Terrion, going up against this Cowboys defense or offense, and then a Rams offense, you're going up against CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, then Puka and Devontae Adams. So
rough. Yeah,
it's tough.
That's as tough as it gets when you talk about wide receiver duos in the NFL. Yeah, the Kirby Joseph thing is strange. I mean, I spend a lot of my, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I spend a lot of my time covering Michigan as well, and it's given me like weird Rod Moore vibes for those who are Michigan fans. Like
Yeah,
he comes off,
definitely.
he tore his knee up. He missed all of one season with a torn ACL. He comes back, plays a game, and now he's just done. He's been done the
Yeah.
whole year, and it's like something happened. Like clearly something, and we know something happened now at this point because he's been pretty much ruled out for the season. Kirby Joseph has not, but to your point, never put on IR. Never really given a designation of how long he might be out, and then it's trending. Oh, he's going to play, and oh, he's not going to play. It just there's been kind of a weird vibe around his injury since it happened in week 5 or 6, I guess at this point now that he's going to miss his 7th straight game. So that's another bummer, another blow to a young, talented player that the Lions count on, that they've locked up, they've given the extension to, and he's a staple of that defense, especially on the back end. We will close with this, Adam, as we get to the 20-minute mark here. The Lions will take on Dallas at home. They'll be in Detroit. And I think, okay, first of all, do you know the spread? Have you seen the spread for this one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I can't ask you to guess. I was surprised. I actually thought, even in Detroit, given all the injuries and given what things have looked like recently, that Detroit would be the underdog, but they're actually favored by 3, according to FanDuel, which surprised me. We'll start there. Are you surprised that the Lions are favored in this game against a Cowboys team that seems to be going kind of like this, and a Lions team that's just trying to hang on maybe at this point?
A little bit, but I think this is a good old-fashioned trap game for the Cowboys.
Okay.
Everyone's going to be seeing the Cowboys. They just beat the Eagles, came back by 21. They just beat the Chiefs, but they were down 21 against the Eagles, and they should have lost that game. So I think that the Lions can kind of sneak up on them, even though their momentum's just as high. Both teams are really similar to me, where they got elite weapons, good quarterback, and just the defense, more so the secondary, is just very weak. So I think it'll be a shootout. But yeah, 3 points. I when I looked at, I actually saw this morning, I was surprised too a bit. I thought it would be -1.5 Cowboys, -1.5 Lions.
Yeah, I thought, again, just based on the way things have gone over the last couple weeks, I thought the Cowboys would be favored by a small amount, like you said. I mean, essentially a pick 'em maybe, but maybe the fact that the Lions are at home, that gives them that little 3-point boost. You see that sometimes in the NFL, more in college. You get the home field to really factor into the spread a little bit. But Lions favored by 3, according to FanDuel, for the home matchup on Thursday night against the Cowboys. And it's like you knew my notes, man. Perfect segue into my last point. You think it's going to be a shootout. The Lions offense is dinged. We've talked about it at length already. No Laporta, no Amon-Ra. The offensive line, not sure exactly what you're going to get. Down to your 3rd and 4th and, geez Louise, man. 5th tight end, brother. 5th tight end. The Lions are trotting out there in Ferkser. But the over-under on this one is 54.5. That's a lot of points in the NFL. I mean, even if you cut it down the middle, you're expecting both of these teams to get close to 30. Why do you think shootout, even though, I mean, Dallas has got the weapons. The Lions typically do, but they're a little banged up right now. Why do you see shootout in this one?
Both defenses are the secondaries have been doing well. I know the Lions did, have a few performances where the defense as a whole looked great, but they haven't been the best last 2 weeks. Let Jameis Winston go for 366 yards. Love had 282. And I think that the Lions are just going to have to keep answering, because the Cowboys look hot right now. Pickens has been on fire. CeeDee Lamb's great. They found some new life in Javonte Williams. And Dak Prescott's playing some good ball as well. So the Lions, kind of similar aspect where, we would have had Amon-Ra and J-Mo, but just J-Mo, Gibbs, 2 big-time playmakers. I can guarantee you now, one of those 2 guys will have 50-yard touchdown, and they're explosive. So I think, both teams will have a lot of chances to touch the ball. Cowboys are 26th in takeaways, so I don't see them, getting the ball back off interceptions, fumbles, whatever. The Lions are averaging 29.2 points a game. The Cowboys are not far behind with 28. So I predicted earlier 38-31, believe it or not. So I'm putting it closer to 70, ironically, than 55.
I was going to ask if you're taking the over. It sounds by quite a bit Adam is
Yeah.
taking the over. I mean, you might have convinced me. I mean, you might have convinced me there. I mean, with both of them averaging right under 30, I mean, that means that the over-under is probably in a pretty good spot. But yeah, I guess give me the over. And do you think the Lions, last but not least, do you think they can get a win? Is it a must win? You kind of said that earlier.
Yeah.
You got this one. You've got next week with the Rams. Is this a must win, and can they get it done? That's what we'll
Yeah, I
for.
definitely think this is a must win. We can lose one more game. I think it's still squeak in, but this has to be because Cowboys win this game. Their momentum is going to shoot even higher, and we will not have the tiebreaker with them, even though they already have a tie, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is a must win. I do think the Lions will win. I think it'll just be a good old fashioned shootout where the defense looks ugly, but we see Goff, show up, and JMO, I think he explodes for 150 yards again, sets a new career high, and I think Gibbs, is not far behind. But the defense, I don't know what that looked like, or we'll want to know.
So, in other words, the way the NFL goes, it'll probably be 13-10.
Exactly. Yes,
that's how these things always go. That's how these things go. Well, I mean, hey, we get a treat. Another Thursday game with the Lions. Get to watch them early. They're the only ones on. Everybody's excited about that. And yeah, we'll see. It feels like a must win. This is this is a crossroad for the season right here. You're injured, you're beat up, but you got the Cowboys at home. You're favored. You got to go get a dub. I agree with everything Adam said. If you want to follow more of what Adam says, you can see the Twitter handle right there, the Honolulu Blues on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And over at lionsroundtable.com, Adam is grinding, putting tons of good content out there. Jump onto the community post. You can talk to him, everybody else that's part of our little team here, our little 5-man hub, 5-team hub that we've got. Super excited to keep this thing rolling. Adam and I will be back again next week, probably Tuesday. I'm leaning towards Tuesday evenings for Adam and I to record these. So if there's a change, we'll let you know on social. But Adam, thanks so much for the time, man, and everybody else out there. Thanks for tuning in, dude. It says there's over 600 people watching us right now. I hope that's all legitimate because that's pretty badass on a Wednesday night when we didn't even announce that we were going live. So thank you so much to everybody who tuned in, and we'll have this on all platforms. It'll be on Apple, Spotify, on our website, YouTube, you name it. And we'll be back next week. Thanks, everyone.